Imagine one man, a single spy, whose actions could unravel an entire empire. Today, we're diving into the incredible true story of a figure so impactful, his espionage reshaped the course of history. This isn't a Hollywood blockbuster, this is the real-life tale of Oleg Penkovsky, the spy who brought the Soviet Union to its knees and stared into the abyss of nuclear war. So, who was Oleg Penkovsky? To the world, he was a decorated colonel in Soviet military intelligence, a GRU. He was a war hero, a trusted member of the elite, with access to the Kremlin's most sensitive secrets. But behind this decorated facade was a man deeply disillusioned with the Soviet system. He saw the corruption, the incompetence, and the reckless ambition of its leaders, particularly Nikita Khrushchev. Penkovsky believed Khrushchev was a dangerous man, capable of plunging the world into a nuclear holocaust, and he decided he had to do something about it. His motivation wasn't purely ideological. His father had fought against the Bolsheviks and was executed, a black mark that haunted Penkovsky's career and fueled a quiet resentment. He felt the system he served had betrayed his family and his country. So, he made a decision that would seal his fate. He decided to become a double agent for the West. But how does a high-ranking Soviet colonel even make contact with Western intelligence? It was incredibly risky. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, Moscow was a hornet's nest of KGB counterintelligence. One wrong move, and he'd be discovered, tortured, and executed. Penkovsky tried multiple times to make contact with American and British agents, even approaching tourists on the street. Finally, his persistence paid off. He connected with Greville, a British businessman who was secretly working as a courier for MI6. This was the beginning of one of the most audacious and productive intelligence operations of the Cold War. Codenamed Hero, Penkovsky began passing a treasure trove of information to his new handlers at MI6 and the CIA. And I mean a treasure trove. We're talking about thousands of pages of top-secret documents. He smuggled them out of his office, photographing them with a miniature Minix camera. Think about the risk involved every single day. He'd walk into the heart of Soviet military intelligence, knowing that if he was caught, it was over. What kind of secrets was he revealing? Everything. He provided detailed technical specifications for Soviet rockets and missiles. Information that was pure gold for Western analysts. He exposed the identities of hundreds of Soviet spies operating abroad, crippling KGB networks across Europe. He handed over the entire operational manual for the GRU, basically giving the West the playbook for how Soviet military intelligence worked. He even revealed the private phone numbers of top Kremlin officials, including Khrushchev himself. The sheer volume and quality of the intelligence were unprecedented. The CIA and MI6 had never had a source this high level, this productive. Penkovsky met with his handlers during official trips abroad to London and Paris. These meetings were straight out of a spy novel, filled with dead drops, secret signals, and clandestine conversations in safe houses. He was debriefed for hours on end, painting a vivid picture of the inner workings, weaknesses, and intentions of the Soviet military machine. But the most critical moment, the one that truly cemented his legacy, came in 1962. The world was on the brink of nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet ships carrying nuclear warheads were sailing towards Cuba, and President John F. Kennedy was facing an impossible choice: a blockade Cuba and risk war, or do nothing and allow a nuclear threat to sit just 90 miles from American shores. This is where Penkovsky became the most important man in the world. The intelligence he had been providing for months gave the US a crucial advantage. Thanks to him, Kennedy knew the exact capabilities and limitations of the Soviet missiles being placed in Cuba. He knew they weren't fully operational yet. He knew the Soviet command and control system was flawed. He even had insights into Khrushchev's personality, understanding his bluffs and his breaking points. This information was absolutely vital. It allowed Kennedy to navigate the crisis with confidence, to stand firm without escalating the situation into an all-out nuclear exchange. He could call Khrushchev's bluff because he held a handful of aces, all dealt to him by Oleg Penkovsky. He knew the Soviets were not as strong as they pretended to be. This inside knowledge allowed the Kennedy administration to orchestrate a naval quarantine instead of an invasion, giving both sides room to de-escalate. The crisis was averted, and the world breathed a collective sigh of relief. But the hero who made it possible was in mortal danger. While the world celebrated peace, the net was closing in on Penkovsky. The KGB had been suspicious for a while. The sheer number of their failures exposed agents, compromised plans all pointed to a major leak at the highest level. They initiated a massive mole hunt. They started watching everyone, and their gaze eventually fell on Colonel Penkovsky. His luck finally ran out. On October 22, 1962, at the very height of the missile crisis he helped to defuse, Penkovsky was arrested. The KGB had been shadowing him, bugging his apartment, and even drilled a tiny peephole through his wall to observe him. They caught him red-handed, with his spy paraphernalia, his Minex camera, his codebooks, and his radio. His British contact, Greville, was also arrested in Budapest and handed over to the Soviets. What followed was a highly publicized show trial in Moscow. Penkovsky was branded a traitor to the motherland. The trial was a piece of Soviet propaganda, designed to humiliate the West and serve as a terrifying warning to anyone else considering betraying the state. Penkovsky confessed to his crimes. Though it's likely his confession was obtained under duress and torture, his fate was sealed. May 1963, Oleg Penkovsky was executed. The official Soviet account says he was shot, but rumors have persisted for decades of a much more gruesome end, that he was cremated alive in a furnace. A horrifying fate meant to serve as the ultimate deterrent. His British contact, Greville, was eventually exchanged for a Soviet spy in 1964. So, what is the legacy of Oleg Penkovsky? To the Russians, he remains a vile traitor, one of the most infamous in their history. But in the West, his legacy is far more complex. Was he a hero who saved the world from nuclear war? Or a traitor who betrayed his country? Many historians and intelligence experts argue that without his intelligence, the Cuban Missile Crisis could have spiraled into World War III. He provided the crucial information that gave President Kennedy the confidence to make the right decisions under unimaginable pressure. His story is a powerful reminder of the hidden currents that shape our world. It shows how the actions of a single, determined individual can alter the course of history, for better or for worse. Penkovsky paid the ultimate price for his convictions, and his name is now etched in the annals of espionage as the spy who may have single-handedly saved the world from nuclear annihilation. A man who saw a world on the brink and decided to risk everything to pull it back. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of the Cold War's most fascinating stories. If you found this as incredible as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows of history. Let me know in the comments what you think. Was Penkovsky a hero or a traitor? I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next video.